Revising for essay-based subjects is very different than revising for quantitative, mathematical, or scientific subjects. The way in which you revise for these two types of subject will be very different, so that is what I'm going to talk about today. If you struggle revising for either one of these types of subjects, you might want to save this video for later. Let's start with the more mathematical subjects. I always loved more mathematical, scientific subjects because I liked the fact that there was a correct answer. I knew that I could pinpoint exactly where I had gone wrong and make sure to target that weaker area in my revision. However, in these quantitative subjects, you need to understand that in order to progress, you need to form this foundation of knowledge. I always use the mathematical example. If you don't understand how to rearrange an equation, or let's say you've just remembered that if you add on one side, you subtract on the other, and you don't thoroughly understand why you're doing what you're doing, you are going to find it very difficult to actually progress in that subject. If you can't rearrange an equation, you're not going to be able to solve simultaneous equations. You're not going to be able to solve or balance equations in chemistry. Similarly, in the sciences, if you didn't really understand atomic structure in physics, you are going to find it incredibly difficult to understand a lot of different concepts when you go into nuclear or you look at space. Really focusing on the basics is important in every subject, but particularly STEM subjects. So if you are struggling with a STEM-based subject, go through the specification or go through your exercise book or go through the textbook to understand what that first topic that you started struggling with was, because the likelihood is that you are struggling with later topics because you had a fundamental misunderstanding of this concept. Now, essay-based subjects. So, in my opinion, they are a lot less conceptually difficult. It's not like I'm struggling to understand why Elizabeth I wanted to execute Mary, Queen of Scots. Like, it's kind of obvious. However, I find that with essay-based subjects, there is a lot more content. For this reason, you really need to focus on reviewing the content that you are not currently covering in the class. So let's take GCSE history like I was talking about. If you're doing Tudor England, you might want to focus on crime and punishment or the Cold War or a topic that you're not currently covering to make sure that you're not forgetting these things. This spaced repetition is crucially important. I recommend you create flashcards and you go over them as frequently as possible. However, essay-based subjects, you need to do exam practice. You need to understand how the marks are awarded in the exam, because you could know everything for A-level economics and come out with a C or a D if you don't know how to give the examiner what they want.